And it's my pleasant duty to welcome you to our second annual forum. Before getting underway, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we're meeting and their elders past, present and emerging. I'd also like to acknowledge a number of special guests, but in doing that I recognise that in fact we're all special guests to this forum, so don't want to particularly pull out anybody in particular, but I'd like to acknowledge that Scott Stewart, the MP for Townsville, is going to be at our event. Paul Woodhouse, the Board Chair of the North West Hospital and Health Board. Annie Clark, who's in fact the Deputy Chair of North West Hospital and Health Board. Lisa Davies-Jones, the Chief Executive from the North West. There's a kind of trend emerging here, isn't it? We also have Lorraine Ferguson, who's the Board Chair of the Sunshine Coast Hospital and Health Board. Tracy Squires, the CEO of Hillcrest Rockhampton Private Hospital. Mari Prech, the Board Member from Darling Downs HHS. Darlene Cox, who's joined us from the ACT. Darlene's the Executive Director of the Healthcare Consumers Association of ACT. And those who were at our forum last year had the privilege of hearing Darlene talk about the experiences that her sister organisation to ours has had in the ACT over a number of years. So welcome again, Darlene, to our forum. I'd also like to acknowledge my fellow directors of Health Consumers Queensland, Brendan Horn, Julie Connolly and Steve Russell. Unfortunately, Dr Erin Evans, who's the other member of the board, is in fact now being a health consumer with some leg injuries and wasn't able to make it today. So I'd like to welcome everybody to today's event and just to get everybody to give us a little bit of a show of hands of where you come from. So can I just get those who are consumers or carers who've been supported by your health service to attend the forum today? Can I just get you to raise your hands? Okay, that's great. We certainly appreciate that support from those HHSs. Can I also ask those who are actually from HHSs, either as staff? Yes, thank you. PHNs? Wonderful. The Department of Health. Don't attack them during the meeting. It's, they are friends and we work very closely with them and in fact Melissa and her team will show you that in fact we are working very closely and certainly during the time that I've been Chair of Health Consumers Queensland we've seen a real shift to the department and the HHSs and PHNs valuing the role of consumers. So NGOs. Anybody else that I've missed? Private, okay, thank you very much. Anybody else? No, so you can see that in fact we've got a very strong mixture of people who are important players in the health system. And that makes for a very rich program, but also very rich opportunities during the breaks to engage with each other. So with that dynamic mix of speakers and presentations, we'll showcase meaningful consumer engagement focused on partnerships and leadership and how this can change the culture of an organisation and increase person-centredness of our service delivery. We have a number of presentations and breakout concurrent sessions programmed throughout the day. We encourage you to ask lots of questions and meet others who share your passion for consumer engagement. Our theme this year is taken from a Midnight Oil song, The Power and the Passion. Culture change through consumer engagement and partnership. Someone who is passionate about collaborating to close the gap between health outcomes of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and the rest of Australia is Professor Gracelyn Smallwood. Gracelyn is a Birragubba, Kalkadoon and South Sea Islander woman born in Townsville. She became a registered nurse in 1972, then a midwife and has worked in rural and remote communities across Australia. She's also worked in remote Australia with the late Dr. Fred Hollows. Gracelyn has received many prestigious awards for her contribution to public health, culturally appropriately HIV, AIDS education, mental health services, human rights advocacy and Indigenous health, including the Peer and Community Judge Deadly Award for Outstanding Lifetime Achievement in Indigenous health and NAIDOC Person of the Year for a contribution of 45 years of health and human rights advocacy. Gracelyn is also a Professor of Nursing and Midwifery at CQ University and a member of the Townsville Hospital and Health Board. I'm actually told that Gracelyn sings a very impressive version of Patsy Cline's Crazy, which she did most recently at the National Rural Health Conference in Cairns. But I'm afraid, Gracelyn, what we're asking you to do today is actually welcome us to country.